YouTube. Today we're talking about money, man, and how important it is to have proper money management. This sun is shining right in my face. So, I used to always think that getting more money would fix my financial issues. And to a certain extent, it does. If your issues revolve around you just being in a lot of debt at the current moment. But if you do not fix the habits that placed you in the bad situation, getting more money is only going to make the situation even worse. When you don't earn that much money, you don't have access to get yourself into a whole lot of crazy debt. For example, somebody that makes $40K a year is not going to have access to $1 million in credit. Not going to happen. But somebody that makes $400K a year probably has access to millions worth of credit. So the person that makes a lot more money has the potential to get themselves into a lot of a bigger bad situation, for lack of a better term. This is why it's extremely important for us to fix our financial habits and increase our financial literacy when we don't have that much money, so that when we finally do get to the money, we're not going to end up messing it up for ourselves. You know, I used to always wonder, how is it that people come up on a big bag and then they just blow it? They just burn right through all of it and end up broke again. How do you get all that money and just fall off? How do you waste that money? I used to always think that. But then when I began to get my first taste of, decent money myself, a 10K month, a 15K month, a 20K month, I started to realize that it makes a lot more sense why people fall off when they get a lot of money, man. Because I can't even lie. Myself, I had the habits of, sometimes I would say, oh, I'll spend this money. It's not that big of a deal. It's just $10. It's just 30. It's just $50. I'll make it back. I got 2K coming in next week. I got 7K coming in next week, right? But it adds up. It sounds cool in theory to just say, oh, I'll spend the money and make it right back. But that is a horrible financial habit to have, because there's no guarantee that your current level of income will stay at that level forever. And at the end of the month, I would look at my expenses and what money went where. And I started to notice, damn, I got $200 here gone to some bullshit and I don't even know what it was for. $400 here, $800 here, 3 bands gone in a month on stupid bullshit because I kind of just said, fuck it, I'll make it back. That's not good. If you spend $5 every day because to you, $5 is not that big of a deal, well, when $1,000 is not a big deal to you, you'll waste that money in the same way with that same mindset. This is why it's extremely important for us to fix our financial habits before we get blessed with the income. Because if you have bad habits with a whole lot of income, you're going to ruin your life financially. Another point I want to make while we're talking about money is, you got to have a season of saying no, man. You got to have a season where, for a short period of time, it could be 6 months, it could be 1 year, it could be 3 years, it could be 5 years, whatever works for you. But for this short period of time, you tell yourself no to all the random expenses that are not an absolute necessity. No, bro, I'm not going to the club with y'all and popping bottles because I'm trying to stack my bread, get my emergency fund up. Nah, man, I don't need those shoes because I'm trying to stack that cash. I want to spend that $200 buying some stock instead of buying some shoes. For a short period of time, if you want to set yourself up financially and get ahead of the game, you're going to have a season where you say no to everything else that is not contributing towards you achieving your financial goals. And I know not everyone wants to hear it, man. I made a video discussing this exact topic a couple days ago on TikTok, and it was pretty controversial. I got a lot of comments saying stuff like, oh man, I don't want to work my whole life. I don't want to just work. I don't exist just to work. Oh man, this grind culture, this hustle culture, it's just not right. We shouldn't be living life like that. It's not sustainable, man. What you mean, tell myself no to get ahead financially? Fuck that, I'm not doing that. That's the wrong mindset to have, man. Now, I get it, man. Life is not all about work. But we work hard to give ourselves a better quality of life. If telling yourself no for 6 months or a year or 3 years will give you a better quality of life for the rest of your life, why wouldn't you do it? It's not forever, man. It's not permanent. It's just a short-term sacrifice for a greater long-term reward. A lot of those comments were saying stuff like, man, life is about experiences, not working your ass off just to have a big number in the bank account. And that's true. But at the same time, the experiences that make life enjoyable cost money. When you're laying on your deathbed, about to pass, you're not going to be worried about how many millions you have hoarded up in your bank account. You're going to be thinking about the memorable and enjoyable moments that you experienced in your lifetime. Time that you spent with friends and family. Maybe y'all went somewhere, did something, saw something, ate something. The experiences, the laughter, the joy, the good times, that is what's important in this life. But in order to experience those things and really live life to the fullest, it is a necessity to have your finances together. You cannot have those experiences if you're broke as hell and constantly struggling. The country that you and your family want to go visit, it costs money. The restaurant that you want to take your kids to, it costs money. That car that you always dreamed of driving, even if you don't want to own it for yourself, you just want to experience it, renting it, costs money. Everything in this world costs. To give yourself a better quality of life and better experiences and more experiences, you have to have your finances together. This isn't a debate. It's a fact. We're not saying you got to be absolutely filthy rich, multi-millionaire or billionaire status. Obviously, that's not needed. And most of us will never get there anyway. But a baseline level of financial stability, a bit of abundance, not extreme, not excessive, not extreme wealth. If you get there, cool. But a bit of abundance so you can really have those experiences and live your life to the fullest in the way that you want to. That's why we work hard. That's why we grind. That's why we stay disciplined. That's why we tell ourselves no for a short period of time. Sacrifice the short-term pleasure for a better long-term result. That's what it's about in all aspects of life. But of course, this video is about the finances. One last thing I want to touch on before we get up out of here for today, man. Speaking on finances. You gotta have a safety net. You gotta have a last resort, just in case all else fails, pile of money that you can use in the event of the worst case scenario. I think a lot of us are learning this right now with the whole government shutdown, people not getting paid, people getting evicted out of their houses. It's crazy, man. People are getting evicted out of their houses after a month and a half of a government shutdown because they can no longer afford to pay rent. Personally, I don't think that's right. I think that's messed up. If you work for the government and you're not getting paid and your company or the company that owns your apartment complex is like, hey man, get up out the crib, man. You're not paying these bills. That's messed up to me. That's wrong. That's a huge sign of corporate greed and capitalistic greed. But unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. And the honest to God truth of the situation is, if these individuals had a little bit of bread stacked up 3 to 6 months, they wouldn't be getting evicted after just a month and a half and not getting any money. Gotta stack that bread, man. Gotta stack it. I know it's very easy when your income goes up to feel like you can spend more money. But sometimes it's perfectly fine to say, you know what? My salary just got a bonus of an extra $4,000 a year. I'm gonna keep my bills and expenses exactly where they were last year. Sometimes it's cool to say, you know what? I was making 4K a month last year, but this year I'm making 10K a month every month. You know what? I'm gonna keep my bills and expenses exactly at what they were when I was still making 4K a month, because I understand that this money shit, it comes and goes. You can have a cool year or two where you pull in 10, 15K months, and the years after that, you could get fired from your job. Your business could go out of business. COVID could happen. Hell, you might even just get like a demotion at your job and get a huge salary cut, a huge pay cut. These things happen. Life happens. So just in case of the worst case scenario, you gotta always have that safety net, man. By any means necessary. I get it. Some people say stuff like, oh man, I can't get ahead in this economy, man. I'm paycheck to paycheck. But you got Netflix, dog. You got J's on your feet, dog. And it's kind of like a little give and take, because if I'm being real, man, I don't want to sit here and say that you shouldn't enjoy nice things if you're broke. But it gets to a point where you have to understand that you wanting to enjoy nice things should not be more important to you than being able to save yourself in the event of no income coming in for a month. Personally, to me, if I couldn't pay my bills for a month or two, if all my income were to stop coming in, I wouldn't be buying Jordans. I would cut all my subscriptions. I'm cutting everything, man, just to give myself that little safety net. And again, it's just a sacrifice for a short period of time. Cut the expenses low for a year. Cut out the bullshit, unnecessary purchases for a year just to stack up that emergency savings. And then the next year, I can go right back to it, bro. The next year, I can reactivate my Netflix and go buy a new pair of Jordans, because at that point, I'll have my 3 to 6 months saved up in income. Always stay ready, man. Life is unexpected. You never know what's around the corner. And I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, man. That's the end of the video. That's that financial talk for today, man. Questions, comments, or concerns, leave it down in the building, man. And Consistent Congo is back in the building. Videos dropping every other day. Long form videos. Short form videos every single day. No days off. Consistency. Y'all have a good one, man.